Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Bloodsword. I said I'd record this episode after the other one. I just had a bit of a bite to eat and a drop to drink first to keep me going. So here we are at section 68. I've already made a healing roll for this section and I'm going to be diving straight in. Or am I? No, not quite. Last time we faced off against Icon the Ungodly, and he was a powerful foe. I just want to address the reason why I used this particular piece of artwork for Icon the Ungodly. It's because I did a Google search. I went to DeviantArt and I searched for Oriental Warrior, because he's not a samurai, he's not that honourable, doesn't wear that much armour. And predictably, given recent fantasy trends, most of them were female. Most of them were not wearing enough armour, or most of them didn't look serious or magical enough to be Icon the Ungodly. There were a few good options. But I also had to try and find something which didn't look like it was generated by AI, which unfortunately has become a blight on the DeviantArt website. It used to be a place where people would show off their artwork and go, hey, look what a nice picture I did. And now it's a place where people show off nice pictures and go, look what command prompts I put into Midjourney or whatever AI art program they're using. And they all look very samey. So since YouTube now requires us to put a tag on any video we upload, essentially saying that it's not visible. It's like in the video properties, we have to put in something saying, yes, we use something made by AI in this, which means that YouTube's going to be heavily prejudicial against the video and no one's going to see it. So I wanted to go for something that looked like someone had actually made this picture with their own hands, or at least with like a Wacom tablet and a whatever, thingy pen. And the full-size version of this image, yes, it's blatantly the Ghost of Tsushima man, did look like actual fan art someone had created instead of something that had been run through a program. And that's why I used it. I'm not saying, oh, I hate that man, I had to use him as a villain. It's like, no, he was worthy to be this powerful opponent. And when our heroes got a foreboding they would meet Icon the Ungodly again, they weren't wrong. I'm just going to say that and leave it there. He shall return, that's why I kept his token for future use. So we are still on the plain in the Sulphur Caverns, on a plateau. There were standing stones around where we faced Icon the Ungodly. And now, as we march forwards, you approach a remarkable sight. A large basalt platform hangs suspended in the air, apparently unsupported 50 meters above the cavern floor. On the ground directly underneath it stands a bronze gong. We took the bronze mallet that Icon the Ungodly left behind when he fled, and we are going to use it now. All the way down to 508, heading terribly close to these annoying things that I do not know how to get rid of. You strike the gong with the mallet. It produces a deep note whose resonance is cut short by a teleportation spell that conveys you to the basalt platform. A large jewelled sarcophagus occupies the middle of the platform, and in the gloom you see an old man walking towards you from it. The flickering streams of phosphorescent sewage which leak through the cavern roof show clearly through his ethereal body. Not a living man at all, then. It lifts its ghostly hands, but in a gesture of greeting or of attack. Brother Kern could try to exorcise the spirit. However, we may wish to speak to it instead. What he is going to do is attempt his final 1-point healing. And if this doesn't work, he won't be able to do another one for a very long time. We're going to get that point back, give it back to him, so he goes down to 1 endurance, back up to 2, and we'll have to wait for the next section. I'm not going to try and banish this spirit. Let's see what it wants of us. The ghost speaks to you with a voice reaching across 1,000 years of history. In life, I was Magus Zin, it says. I was mightiest of the true Magi, and would have ruled over all, but petty jealousies among my peers brought about my downfall. The fools slew my servant, the giant Skrymir, and though they had not the power to destroy me utterly, they yet imprisoned me here. And here I have lain for 10 centuries. 10 centuries! They have passed like the slow tread of Leviathan, like the measured rumble of the gods as they snore beneath spite. 10 centuries to plot and scheme. Now my plans for vengeance come to fruition, but I need your help to execute my plan. What say you? We can agree to assist him. Now, the true Magi are no more. The false Magi may not be the impostors. I imagine that the current Magi who rule the city of Krarth are not the same ones who defeated Magus Zin 100 years ago, but rather their descendants, and that they might only be some 300 or 400 years old themselves. That being said, they do exert a lot of power over surrounding land, and if we agree to assist him, maybe he will agree to help us. If we refuse, he may turn nasty. Let us therefore turn to section 116, where once again Brother Kern will attempt a 1-point heal. Five. So that's 3, 4, 5. 3 points. He gets 1 back for himself. He gets 2 back for himself. And then the last 3rd point. 11, 9, 6. He'll give to Ariadne to put her on a 7. It almost made sense to give them all to himself, but he can try another 1-point heal next section. Ah, it is well, says the ghost with a misty, emotionless smile. The loyal servants of Zin shall share in his glory, and I shall reward you above all others. It passes its hands over the sarcophagus lid, which slowly rises into the air. You look upon a mouldering skeleton that clutches a lump of granite in its broken fingers. My mortal form, says the ghost wistfully. So long since I could taste the musky wines of Asmuli, or feel a scented breeze from off the meadows. Take the stone. Take it quickly. I wish to wallow no longer in the memory of things lost to me. You have no choice but to comply. Your agreement to aid the ghost has bereft you of any power to oppose him. You take the lump of granite from the skeleton's hands, and the sarcophagus slowly closes again. You see that you hold a fossilized heart. It is the heart of the giant Skrymir, explains the ghost. He was destroyed by the true Magi, but he shall be my instruments of vengeance against their heirs, these mewling modern Magi who have usurped the ancient grandeur He flickers and seems to grow larger and more tenebrous for a moment, then settles down into a cold, hard radiance. Go towards the atoll. I have no interest in this petty contest. It is of no concern to me whether you take the Emblem of Victory or not. Do as you wish. However, on your way to the emblem, at the summit, you will pass through chambers where the sundered fragments of Skrymir's body lie. His massive legs, his rib cage, his arms, his flawless skull. Take them with you. At the summit, assemble them and place the fossilized heart in his dusty chest. Then stand you back, for the magic of Zin shall roar forth from the cosmic interstices once again, as it did in times of old. Flesh shall clothe his yellowed bones, his heart shall beat, and warm blood shall course through his veins. His eyes shall open and behold this travesty of ancient Krarth, and to the upstart Magi he shall mete out a most fitting fate. Now make ready to return below. He lifts diaphanous hands. A stream of grey-blue light surrounds him. The scene shifts, and once more you find yourself on the plain below the floating platform. You can proceed as before, but remember that you have the heart of Skrymir now, and for the moment, at least, you cannot discard it. I feel Sir Alwyn should carry this. He will, however, discard the bronze mallet. Now, let us see how this plays out. At last, you reach the base of the atoll. The plain was deceptively wide, and you feel as though you have walked almost 3 kilometers across the blasted waste. The mist falls back in full-on wisps as you reach the higher ground climbing up to the atoll. High above, the tassels of the Emblem of Victory stream in the ghostly winds that shriek about this desolate place. A slope leads up into a crevice in the side of the atoll, and passing through this, you find a path winding up and around it like a helter-skelter. The way is steep, and you are glad when you reach a small chamber where you can rest your aching legs. Pausing to gather your strength for the climb, you become aware of a reddish glow suffusing the back of the chamber. It illuminates a skull, but what a skull! It must have belonged to a man nearly 4 meters tall. You stare dumbfounded. As you stare dumbfounded, a groan comes from out of its fleshless lips. Then it speaks. I am Skrymir the giant, who dared to challenge the true Magi, it tells you. This was in olden times, before the blasting of spite which placed modern usurpers on the old thrones. The true Magi were wizards indeed. They blew spells that shriveled my flesh into dust, turned my mighty heart to stone with their fierce glares, boiled my blood with their rage, cracked these old bones with shouted incantations. But with your aid I could rise again and sweep away these capricious prattlers who now call themselves Magi. Collect my bones together, this skull through which I now speak to you, and the other sundered fragments you will find. At the summit, join them together. Give me life, and your rewards will be beyond the dreams of avarice. I do not feel we can trust this giant. However, you may take the skull if you wish. If you have the fossilized heart, then you must take the skull as well, even if it means discarding some important items such as a sword. If we had less than 4 heroes at this point, we would have trouble carrying everything. Let us take the skull. And Brother Kern will attempt once again to heal the party. 1 whole point only. Oh, damn it. We're back in this gamble, I see. Very well. You follow the path up inside the atoll until you reach another chamber. Here, a ribcage of colossal proportions hangs from a petrified tree. A large padlock attaches it to one of the stone branches. From the other branches, grinning severed heads dangle by their matted scalps. A crack in the outer wall affords you a view across the battle pits, of the floating basalt platform above the plain of standing stones, of the chasm where the dirgemen fly, of the pylon in the middle of bubbling lava pits, and of the shrine and temple beyond it. You have come so far, but now you feel a terrible depression of the spirit. Your quest begins to seem pointless. How much better to slump here, to rest devoid of cares, to submit to defeat. A whistling wind blows from the tree. 1,000 grinning mouths appear across its stony bark, screaming and calling for you. 1,000 fire-blackened fingers stretch out from the gulf beyond your imagination, beckoning for your company. You feel the lure of insanity. We do have the fossilized heart. If we did not have it, we would need to rely on our own force of will to see us through this ordeal. But the spirit of the Magus and the heart may protect us. The heart belongs in the chest after all. The voice of Magus Zin speaks inside your head. The guardians of the Magi seek to stop you with their magic, but the servants of Zin may always look to their master for aid. Pay heed to the music of old Krarth. You hear music in your mind, the atonal chanting of Kabandari Symphony. It is not to your taste, but it certainly has the effect of driving away the phantasms that threaten your sanity. Now collect Skrymir's ribcage, says Zin. Well, we will also attempt a 1-point heal, and we get 4 points back. 1 point to put Brother Kern back up to 2. He'll take 2 more to place him on a 4. And then we will give 1 point to Remy to put him on a 10. It would almost make sense. We're going to have to be focusing heavily on healing Brother Kern at this point, but the others could also do a little top-up as we continue. Do you have the giant skull? We do. That was simple. We haven't even picked up a ribcage yet, so we'll try another 1-point heal. Oh, another bad roll takes us back down to 3. I swear, Map Tools dice are not too nice tonight. But we do indeed have the skull. It may compel us, or the chamber itself. A harsh command issues from the skull, sounding like the tolling of a death knell. The padlock opens and the ribcage falls at the base of the petrified tree. You may take this if you wish. If you have a fossilized heart, you must take it, and you can discard neither it, the heart, nor the skull. Brother Kern will take the ribcage. Because he's to do with healing and heart and internal organs. Also, this is a new section. I think we can heal here. I will forgo that and go up to 159, just scrolling up the page a bit. You pass on up the tunnel until you reach another chamber. You must be halfway to the summit by now. Another tunnel leads up from the far side of the room, but to reach it you must pass a roughly carved throne of rock to which a giant skeletal pelvis and legs are shackled. We'll try a 1-point heal. Hey! So a 5 gets us 3, 4, 5. 3 points. We'll take all 3 to push us up to 2 plus 3 is 5. Now Brother Kern is looking somewhat more healthy. We do indeed have the giant skull. The skull speaks again, and the shackles open and sliver away, rustling their rusted links on the stone floor as they retreat into the shadows. If you have the fossilized heart, you must take the skeletal legs, even if it means dropping something else. You may not drop the heart, skull, or ribcage. Otherwise, you have... I was trying to work out knave. Otherwise, you have a free choice whether to take them or not. Note, however, that the legs count as 2 items for encumbrance. Ariadne can take the legs. We have a left leg and a right leg. Let's move on. Come on. Come on. You know what is expected before you reach the next chamber. It is malformed and fused like an ancient fane blasted by a tremendous heat. Worshippers stand frozen like pillars of salt, locked forever in the stances of dismay and panic they adopted at the moment of disaster. Beyond them are the items you knew you would find. 2 massive skeletal arms affixed to shoulder blades like plates of armor. 1 fleshless hand still wears a spiked gauntlet of iron. Let us attempt another 1-point heal. Hooray! 4 gets us 2 points back. So we'll just pop Brother Kern down to 4, then up to 6 endurance. And he now feels like he's not quite on death's door anymore. We do indeed have the skull, and shall be compelled to head to section 394. Went a little bit too far there. You may take the skeletal arms if you wish. They count as 2 items of encumbrance. The iron gauntlet counts as a 3rd item. If you have the fossilized heart, you must take the arms, of course. But you still cannot discard the heart, arms, ribcage, or skull. You may take the gauntlet or not, as you wish. Well, Remy will take the 2 arms, because arms have hands, and hands have fingers. And fingers can get up to all kinds of tricks. Also, we'll try another 1-point heal with Brother Kern. 6 gets us 4 points back. So we'll go down to 5. We'll put 3 on Brother Kern, taking him up to an 8. And then we'll push Ariadne up to... No. We will restore Sir Alwyn to full health. And since it's pretty blatantly obvious there's some kind of giant that we are constructing, Remy will return the giant slaying sword to our warrior. who is now therefore in possession of the magic sword, and he will restore Remy's normal sword back to the trickster. This is probably the last time that sword will change hands this adventure. We will not take the large spiked gauntlet. I'm leaving it behind. The salt-encrusted sad faces of the dead worshippers make you uneasy. You hurry up the steps that lead from this chamber to the summit, where we shall attempt yet another 1-point heal. We get 1 more point back. We will put Brother Kern on 9 endurance, at which point we will swap him with Ariadne in the party marching order, as he's feeling more confident of his survival and she doesn't like being in harm's way. You emerge from the tunnel. Standing at the very summit of the atoll now, you are barely a dozen paces from the Emblem of Victory. You are high up, away from the glimmering fires and phosphor streams, but the emblem is bathed in bright light, a grey-white illumination spell cast by the Magi. Perhaps more than just an illumination spell, you see a pillar of light stretching up towards the ceiling of the cave and realize that is the teleportation spell that will convey you to the surface. You have only to step up and take hold of the emblem. Propped against the rock on which the emblem stands is an iron frame. You hadn't noticed it at first, as it lies half in the shadows. Going over for a closer look, you see that it is a framework in which you could place the giant's bones if you have them. If you have all of the sections of Skrymir's skeleton and the fossilized heart, which we do, then we must take one option. If we have the sections of the skeleton but do not have the heart, we do not have all the skeleton. No, we have all the skeleton and the heart. So off to section 412 we go. You have no choice, but we do get to choose a 1-point heal for... the point is lost. For if we are about to encounter a giant, and we have a giant slaying sword that was gifted to us by one of the Magi at the very beginning of this adventure, there's a very decent chance we may need to use that sword. You have no choice. Almost without volition, you stoop and begin to place the huge bones into the iron frame. Your thoughts are still your own, but Zin's magic has implanted a subconscious command that you are powerless to resist. You watch as your hands reconstruct the long-dead giant. When all the sections of the skeleton are in place, you fetch the stone heart and lower it into the massive rib cage. A cold, dry wind whips up around the atoll, keening hungrily. Skrymir's soul is returning from the dead. Already you can see small patches of skin appearing like fungus on the sere bones. A spark of lifelight gleams inside the sockets of the skull. Is there anything else you would like to add to the frame now? If not, you have only to stand back and watch Skrymir return to life. Well, first off, let's remove the left leg, the right leg, the rib cage, the left arm, the right arm, the skull, and the heart of Skrymir. I believe there is something we would like to add. Let's see what options are available to us. This will also be a possibility for healing, which we may well need. So we'll make that 1 point healing roll right now. We'll get it. We pay the point, we get it back, we'll give it back to Brother Kern. What will you add before the giant's flesh and sinew reknits with his ancient bones? A sliver of callium, a spiked gauntlet, or an ice jewel? The ice jewel would freeze and make things icy. A spiked gauntlet, I imagine we would place it on his hand. The sliver of callium is a volatile metal that explodes when it gets wet. And here's an interesting thing about living bodies. They're full of wet stuff, awfully full of wet stuff. I believe we will add the sliver of callium to the skeleton as it reforms. You remove the sliver from its casket and insert it into a ventricle of the stone heart. Moments later it begins to pulse with life, and the pink bloom of fresh blood washes over it as the stone reverts to flesh. Slabs of muscle swell across the bones, sewn with gristle and skin. Skrymir rises from the dead. He stands before you, towering towards the cave roof like the shadow of a great glacier. His beard sparkles with icicles. His skins blaze with cold fury. "Skrymir stands upon Middle-earth once more!" he cries, shaking the rock walls with his voice of thunder. "Legend reverberates to his battle roar. Let the Magi crouch upon the old thrones of Krarth beware! They who shall not see before another dawn for the sky, then shall be washed with their blood." Suddenly, he notices you. You feel his dark eyes on you like the first frost of winter. Winter. I also missed the let the old Magi who crouch upon the old friends. "Skrymir was raised from his grave by mortal hand," he murmurs menacingly. "Is this meet? Shall the proud lord of Jotunheim endure such shameful obligation? Not so! You shall be the first to die, then, by my resurrected hand!" He reaches down towards you. You can sense his power and know that this is no blundering colossus who stands before you. Skrymir is truly the lord of Giantholm, a being who could challenge the very gods. Grimly you make ready to battle him. Suddenly he clutches at his chest and gives vent to a scream of agony that shakes the atoll under you and dislodges stalactites from the roof above. "My heart! Oh, my mighty heart, burned by the spiteful sting of fire! Loki, is this your He falls crashing into the ground with such force that you are thrown off your feet. Through the clouds of rock dust thrown up, you see him give a short, convulsive spasm as the burning callium consumes his heart and explodes within his chest. A frost giant cannot endure the power of heat and flame. Even as you watch, the fire spreads through his huge body, and within minutes he turns to ashes. This time, not even his bones remain. And that is why I added the sliver of callium. It is entirely possible to fight Skrymir the Giant. He is a mighty foe. Depending on if you put the ice gem in him, it makes him even more powerful. If you give him the spiked gauntlet, it massively improves his damage output. And it's actually possible to persuade him to teleport up with you and attack the Magi and lead to a very different ending where you get a much smaller reward for technically failing the adventure but surviving to the end as you run away desperately while he smashes the place up and the Magi are all getting killed and fleeing. You have slain Skrymir the Frost Giant, a mighty enemy who vexed even the true Magi of Krarth. For this monumental victory you receive a bonus of 200 experience points, divided equally among all surviving players. We will take those right now. It's worth noting that we could have gained an additional 35 experience points each for defeating a powerful demon, which would have put us on 335 out of the 500 required for rank 3. Climbing to the top of the atoll, you take hold of the Emblem of Victory. The column of light streams around you, and you feel the teleportation spell taking effect. You are conveyed to the great hall where the Magi are assembled to applaud your victory. You are approached first by Magus Tor. "I speak on behalf of all the Magi," he declares. "You have achieved far more than the winning of the annual contest. You have overcome our ancestral foe, dread Skrymir. For this you shall be rewarded most lavishly." He claps his hands, and slaves scurry forwards, bearing gifts with trays of jade. If there is a warrior in the party, he or she may take an enchanted sword. This adds 1 to the wielder's fighting prowess. Sir Alwyn will take the enchanted sword, and he'll give it to Remy. Make note that this will actually, by the end of book 3, I think, end up being Ariadne's sword. I think we can find one more magic weapon in book 2, which Sir Alwyn would gain. The Bloodkatranka would go to Remy, the enchanted sword would go to Ariadne. I think. If there is a sage, he or she is given a shielding charm that adds 1 to armor rating. That is phenomenal. We don't need our opal medallions anymore, so I'm going to rule that if we had any food left over at this point, at the end of the adventure, I was going to ditch it completely. For the trickster, there is a magic bow which adds 1 to fighting prowess when he or she takes the shoot option in combat. Arrows shot from his bow inflict 1 die plus 1 damage. Is it magic bow or enchanted bow? Magic bow. Okay. There we go. Remy will replace his normal bow with that. For an enchanter, if there is one, the Magi provide a ring of sorcery which confers a bonus of 1 to psychic ability. These are beautiful rewards. She may now prepare and cast spells with considerable ease compared to previously. When all surviving players have taken the item appropriate for adventuring class, turn to 540, and so we shall. It is, of course, also possible to leave without the skeleton of Skrymir without assembling it at all. However, the things like the tree which had the ribcage on become more dangerous. Victory is yours. You're among the few to have emerged from the battle pits, for the Magi's contest is a deadly one, and often there are no survivors. All surviving players get 1,000 experience points to share equally between them, and can now determine if they have advanced a rank. That puts everyone on 550. They will indeed have advanced a rank. I will do that after the end of the section. The quiet, condescending applause of the Magi is one thing, but the rapturous cheers of the crowds outside the hall is quite another. You stand proudly as they shower garlands upon you, the one day of the year when they can truly show admiration for someone other than their despotic rulers. Your patron is flushed with success. Your victory means many concessions of land from his peers. He finds a few moments amid the tumult of congratulations to come over and speak to you. "It is time for you to leave Krarth now," he says. "Having once entered the battle pits, you are ineligible for the contest in future years. Doubtless this will not bother you, for you have fought your way to a resounding triumph. But there is one who is left with bitter hatred for you in his heart. I need not peer into my scrying sphere to tell you that you will meet him again. Be on your guard." For a moment, when you turn to look at the cheering crowds, you seem to catch a glimpse of a black-cloaked figure watching you with an expression of cold fury. When you look again, he is gone. And with that, my friends, we have completed Book 1 of Bloodsword, The Battlepits of Krarth. Sir Alwyn the Warrior, Remy the Trickster, Brother Kern the Sage, and Ariadne the Enchantress will return again in Book 2. The Kingdom of Spite, is it? Something like that. The Kingdom of Weird. But for now, they've each gained a rank. So let's rank up. So, Sir Alwyn the Warrior. Fighting prowess and psychic ability remain the same. His damage increases by a point to 1 die plus 2. And his endurance increases a point to 18. All characters will be restored to full endurance in between adventures. We no longer need to carry Balthazar's standard. We no longer need the Opal Medallion. There we go. Was there no money? Did we only just get magic items? That feels weird. I will double check that, because I think we might have got a little bit more money. Was it 30 something? I'll look it up in a bit. So, the other thing, of course, is his rank will have increased to 3. At this point, the endurance increase and damage increase is all that most characters can look forwards to. Remy the Trickster. Book 2. Book 2. Gains an additional point of damage to put him on par with what Sir Alwyn used to deal out. And 18 endurance as well. Now, it's interesting how we justify the increase of endurance. We can say the added hardships have made them tougher, so their capacity to receive damage has increased drastically. But that doesn't always cut it when it happens too many times. Sometimes you have to say that a character still has the same amount of health they had before, but they are better at receiving damage, and so every point of damage, every point of endurance now is a smaller percentage of their total health. Brother Kern the Sage also gains a point of damage and 5 endurance points. I believe, though I may be mistaken, that we also get to replenish arrows between books. We still have our Scroll of Time Blink and the Golden Snuff Box of Shormiano. And finally, Ariadne the Enchantress loses that 1 point penalty to damage, ascending to a more respectable damage total, goes to 15 endurance points, and there we are. She hasn't learned any new spells, but her capacity for spellcasting has increased courtesy of the Ring of Sorcery. Additionally, we'll wait at 8th rank to get another point. She probably won't get that then. Oh well, that'll be interesting. But for book 5, she will go up to awareness 7, interestingly. Alright. Well, that has been a very successful final episode. I might have to make up a fake thumbnail to make it look like the party are fighting Skrymir, just so that we have a nice image of tokens on it. If I do, and I got you with that fake thumbnail, oh, you know what I should have done? I should have actually stopped just before we, when we added the Sliver of Callium, built up a battle map, turned to the section, and then surprised you all with the lack of a fight. Oh well, I was too kind for that, I suppose. Plus, it's getting a bit late now. There will be a short delay before I record book 2. Not a massive delay, just a short one. Other games are out now that I'm interested in. And when I say short delay, I'm talking like a week, right? Not a massive amount of time. Maybe 2 weeks tops. Possibly even just half a week. Hellblade 2 is out now. Crown Wars, I believe, will be out tomorrow. As will, I think, the new Fabled Lands DLC. And I know you'd all like to see me play some Fabled Lands soon. That always gets a lot of views. So, I'm going to end this one here and say thank you very much for watching. I will go build up a campaign file for these guys for book 2. And we'll have some fun with that soon. While Hellblade 2 and Fabled Lands DLC and Crown Wars, which I forgot the name of twice there, are all coming out this week. I can't afford them all because the Hellblade 2 requirements were so high I had to buy a new processor for my computer, which cost so much that I can't actually afford to buy Hellblade 2 until next week. So I'm going to have to just be a patient little boy and wait. I think I can do that. Well, thank you all very much for watching. I'll look forward to seeing you all in book 2 of Bloodsword, which should be coming sometime before the end of the month. Fingers crossed. But for now, goodbye everyone. Take care. You're all heroes. We made it through the adventure together. Let's go celebrate. And when we're ready for the next one, you know where to find me. Bye for now, everybody.